they need to understand what you are selling, offering in 30 seconds. In the US market, you cannot be humble. It's all about speed. It's all about ambition. And it's all about testing, trying, and seeing what works, what doesn't work.
皆様こんにちは。本日は 9JP ニューヨークエコシステムウェビナーシリーズ第2回 The Mindset Japanese Startups Needs to Succeed in NYC にご参加いただきましてどうもありがとうございます。私は、横浜市ベイシー事務所の西川と申します。9JP のメンバーとして、一緒に活動させていただいております。本日のアジェンダについて、簡単にご説明させてください。本日はこの後開会挨拶の後に、ゲスト紹介と本日のゲストのプレゼンテーションを行います。その後に、パネルディスカッションを行います。それでは早速開会挨拶に移りたいと思います。
Thank you for joining the second webinar of the 9JP New York ecosystem. We're going to have Daiki and we're going to have Murat. And Daiki is going to introduce Murat.
Hi everyone, pleasure to have you all here. My name is Daiki Nakajima. I'm the director at Jetstream New York, and I oversee our startup initiatives here. Today we are very excited to have a good friend, also a great partner.
So very nice to meet everyone, and I'm excited to be here today. Thank you for hosting us. So we are a VC fund in New York City. We've been investing in startups since 2011. For the past 15 years, we invested in 400 startups. I lived in Tokyo for 2 years, from 2000 to 2005. I love Japan. I met my wife in Tokyo, so now we've been married 22 years, but I go to Japan as much as I can. Thanks to Nakajima-san, I went to Japan 8 times last year.
Wow.
And we brought like 150 Japanese startups to New York City to help them enter the US market since 2015. So we have a lot of experience in startups, in Japanese startups, Japanese founders. We have many Japanese LPs in our funds, and I love Japan. So I'm very excited today to talk to everybody and tell them more about the US market, because we have a lot of experience, and also we need more Japanese founders to think global.
Now, you want to go through your presentation, please?
I really want to, yeah.
Thank you.
All right. So we work with more than 150 Japanese startups who came to the US market, and we mentored them, we gave them ideas. So we've been doing this for 10 years, and we have a lot of lessons learned and insights. So I would like to talk about these. First of all, our company that helps global startups enter the US market is called ERA Global. And we've been working with many different global partners since 2011. So we have many partners, and we help these partners bring their global startups to New York City and enter the US market. So we delivered more than 43 global programs in the past 10 years. 240 plus companies from all over the world came to New York City. We've done pitch events, and we have many contents that we delivered. So in Asia, obviously, our biggest partner is Japan, JETRO. We work with Tokyo Government, Ibaraki Prefecture, Tsukuba Science City, and also we work with Keihana Research Complex. And we are like very excited to also work with NEDO, with climate startups. We have a climate fund. We also work with the South Korean government and also Taiwanese governments. In Europe, we work with Belgium, Italy, the Nordics, Spain, and also in Africa and Senegal. And in South Africa, we work with Mexico, Colombia, Brazil, Chile, and Uruguay. So we have a lot of experience with global founders coming to the US market. And every founder who comes to the US market is different culture. Japanese founders have different challenges. Korean founders have different challenges. Our mentors provide functional help. We help the companies come to the US market by analyzing, first of all, the difference between their existing market, local market, and the US market. And we help them do product testing in the US market. And then most importantly, we test their business model and their story and go-to-market strategy continuously with mentors, experts, potential customers, so that they can change what they do. Because what you do in Japan does not apply to the US market. It's a very different market. Everything is different, from go-to-market, pricing, and many different sales methodologies. So first of all, you can think of New York City as like a completely different environment. It's all about speed. It's all about ambition. And it's all about testing, trying, and seeing what works, what doesn't work. It's not about hierarchy, not about perfection, which is really more Japanese approach to growing businesses. But main point is, when you come to the US market, you have to change your thinking. You have to start thinking differently, which is not easy. And also, really, New York City is not just like a bigger version of Japan. Even though Tokyo is like very much larger than New York City is very large and chaotic, and the subway does not arrive on time. It's always late. So first of all, you have to start thinking from everything needs to be perfect to I need to get things out there as fast as I can. You cannot wait until things are perfect. You have to get things out there, start testing. You cannot plan for many, many months. So this goes against the what most Japanese founders do, which is building a new product for a long time. When it's ready, go to market. In the US market, you have to create something, start showing it to customers, mentors, advisors, and keep learning. Learning is the most important thing in the US. But learning also means you have to listen to people. And in New York City and in the US, people are very direct, which is not very Japanese. People give you direct feedback. They say, your product is bad, it doesn't work, I don't like it. So you have to process all the feedback, learn from it, and really adapt how you think, different from Japan. In the US, it's all about listening to the customer. B2B, B2C, doesn't matter. But any customer you talk to, they need to understand what you are selling, offering in 30 seconds. They don't have 30 minutes to understand what you do. In 30 seconds, you have to tell them, we are creating an AI agent to enable like agentic commerce on your website. You cannot tell them there's a problem, things are slow. You have to get to the point very, very quickly. And also in the US market, positioning. Why is this so important? Why is your idea going to be a very large solution? Why are people going to pay you so much money? Positioning is very, very important. So that's why having US mentors is very, very, very important. You have to obsess with the customers, and then you have to listen to them, and you have to give them what they want very quickly. They have to understand what you do very, very quickly, which is very different from Japan. I love Japan, and I learned a lot from Japanese culture. I took tea ceremony lessons when I was in Japan, and I just did tea ceremony last Friday in New York City. So I learned to be more humble in Japan. But in the US market, you cannot be humble, because every US entrepreneur, they oversell what they have. So if you're humble, US customers will assume you have less than what you have. You have to be confident, you have to be good at storytelling, and you have to be ambitious. Investors in the US, they want the founders to be ambitious, not humble, because they think if you're humble, you won't be able to grow your business and nobody will buy your product. So it's a very different way of thinking. But when you come here and you spend time in the US, most Japanese founders see this and they start adjusting to it. And then when you're confident, it really shows that you're a leader. So it's very different from Japan. In Japan, maybe being ambitious is not culturally accepted, but in the US, it's the norm. You have to be ambitious and you have to be confident. Again, in Japan, relationships are the most important thing. B2B sales are all about relationships, not in the US. In the US, it's all about adding value, having other customers traction, having revenue having users, having customers, having a large momentum in your growth, in your number of customers, is much more important than your previous job title, the school you went to, anything else. And in the US, the most important thing is momentum. If you're growing very fast, it means you have a great product. You can grow very fast with not too much capital. So investors will pay attention to you more than usual. So again, we don't expect you to change your personality, but you have to adapt to where you are. Stocks on the Japan Tokyo Stock Exchange are micro stocks, which is not good for Japan. And we really want you to think globally. We want you to plan to have a global business and ideally exit your business globally. Ideally in the US on the New York Stock Exchange or by getting acquired by a large corporation. So M&A in the US is 80% of all exits compared to Japan where it's mostly going public. So these are again, adjustments to how you operate. And what we've seen work is really, if you can change your mindset, adapt to US environment as quickly as possible, even when you're in Japan, by like having some calls with US mentors and advisors and customers, these Japanese founders win the fastest in the US market. You have to adjust your thinking. You have to start listening to US customers. You have to give them value and start growing fast. Again, the last slide, you don't need to become an American person, but you need to start thinking globally. You need to observe the US market. You need to see what works, what doesn't work. And then when you come to US market, you have to compete with the US entrepreneurs, US businesses. And we've been working on this for a long time, and we would love to see you in the US market soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we move on to the panel discussions. First of all, Murat, thank you so much for a great presentation, longer than 30 seconds, which is beyond the time we normally have. So thank you so much for that. And before getting into the your investment philosophy and how Japanese entrepreneurship grow to and adjust into the US thinking, global thinking. So first of all, I just want to talk about the overall environment, like venture phases and the AI phases. So the environment has been changing very, very rapidly, especially this year, and CES has changed a lot as well. So can you talk about a little bit about your overview of the 2026 and what kind of changes you would expect?
The venture capital investments in the US peaked in 2021 and then dropped substantially in 22, 23, 24. Last year was the first increase in a long time, but it was all driven by AI investments. Actually, in 2021, $386 billion was invested in startups. Yep. And last year it was $350 billion, but 40 billion of that was OpenAI.
Oh, that's right.
So half the money, $350 billion, half of it was gone to AI companies and very large rounds.
Yeah.
So we are seeing capital concentrate on very large AI deals. So it's really difficult for early stage non-AI companies to raise money. But what we are seeing is it's driving those founders to build revenue, get traction, not raise too much money more than they need, which we believe is a good discipline. So in effect, right now there's a lot of AI hype, and many of these AI companies which raised a lot of money at high valuations will crash.
Yeah.
They'll go to zero. So there's going to be adjustment periods, which we think it's going to be like this year and next year. But for a founder, if you're building a business, you have customers, they're paying you revenue and you're growing, you have to ignore everything else. Just keep building your business. And there are investors who invest in the right companies. So if you have a great business, there are always investors for you.
No, I couldn't agree anymore. I think it's a trend run right now that that people are peaking at the moment. We're seeing results come out. We're seeing OpenAI with a lot of money. We're seeing Gemini with improvements in their products. We're seeing others that are coming out. Anthropic is doing a lot. So I think although AI is still young, in terms of investment strategies and the knowledge of VCs investing in AI, I think we get it. They get it, not me. But I think I totally agree on that. Don't give up on what you're doing. I think continue to, build a product and try and network and meet people. And you can't give up in New York. The moment you give up in New York, that's it. So you just ride this out and continue on. And, you have, or people in Japan have great mentors and advisors now that not only Jetro, but, others are learning how to support these, especially the Japanese startups. So, just don't give up.
So in that sense, like for this year, will you focus more on the AI related or non-AI related? Each of you, how do you
100% AI related. So it's a major shift.
Yeah.
Everybody's coding right now. Cloud code, cursor, like all these different things. It changed the whole environment. Like anyone can build a product. Until 2 years ago, you need a software engineer. Now we invest in many companies where the founders are using cloud code, building a product. So it's a complete shift in thinking. So it's all about the solution right now. No more about like, do you have a good engineer from MIT? It changes everything. AI will blend into our daily lives seamlessly. It will change everything we do. Like already we are using AI to like do due diligence, many different things. And we know that like when the mobile revolution happened, there were mobile app companies that became very large. And the cloud revolution happened, AWS and others, Azure came out. This transition is much bigger than anything else. So we think there's going to be like many $1 trillion companies that are going to started last year or this year. We're going to invest in them. So I studied neural networks, machine learning in the 90s, like 30 years ago. I'm old, but like very old. But like we are very excited about this. Like everything is changing. Like healthcare today, Elon Musk said like don't go to medical school. It's crazy and extreme. But like he thinks robots will do all the surgeries. But really, like things are changing. So if I were in Japan right now as a founder at the university and I'm very smart, I would pick a vertical and build a vertical application. Like do not build an LLM, the platform stuff, but build a vertical application, solve a problem, cheaper, faster, and you'll do well.
So then, like as you mentioned, like OpenAI of the world, like especially hyperscalers invest a lot in the AI space. So like as a AI startup or venture, like how do you want to differentiate yourself versus the hyperscalers? Or as you mentioned, like will you like establish the product around like this hyperscaler aiming to be acquired in the future?
Yeah, that's a great question. Second one. So first of all, last week, OpenAI released ChatGPT Health. They killed like 50 AI healthcare companies. You can upload your health records, electronic health records. They are going to get to a place where they're going to give you like advice and guidance, all these different things. And then Anthropic this week released Cloud Cowork. So if you're an enterprise user, you can create agents by clicking on things, not coding. They killed like 1,000 AI startups. So you have to be careful and you have to pivot constantly. It's impossible to stay away, but OpenAI is getting pressure from Gemini, Google. So they will do anything and everything. They want to go public this year. So it's very difficult to do AI startup right now. So you have to keep changing, you have to keep watching. Things are moving very fast. But then like there are many winners. There's a company called Replit. They create agents. They're doing great. Meta just acquired a company from China, which moved to like Singapore, enterprise agents. We are like investing in agentic AI framework, so on.
How about like how do you see the AI related like entrepreneurship in Japan? And like what kind of like ventures are you bringing into the US?
I think I'll try to be as optimistic as possible. I think everybody that may be watching, who's familiar with Japan knows, obviously in the US, it's AI, software AI. You can't really compete with the speed and knowledge that a young startup here who strictly does AI, you can't compete with that. However, I think echoing Murat's on, it's at a point where you're going to need creativity in around AI. You don't need to build an AI. You have that cloud, you have all that platform, but you can be creative and utilize AI in a way that perhaps it was never used, or something so simple that you would have never thought that you needed AI or something around that, right? So I think, and Japan's always had that, monozukuri mindset, right? So the creativity mindset. So I think you can build around that, and I think Japan has that opportunity to sort of compete or even work together with, a software company here.
Like Sakana AI is a great example. They're a unicorn. They're doing something very differentiated, even though they're like in the platform level. So like Japan should use their deep tech advantage. Japan is very good at deep tech.
Alpaca just became a billionaire.
Okay, I didn't know that.
So there's like Alpaca AI. So name yourself an animal AI and you will be a $1 billion.
Like a rat AI. That's next one. It's going.
How about like New York, like entrepreneurship ecosystem itself, like a part of the strength of New York has is like diversification. It's not only about the AI. Of course, AI affects every industry, every company, anywhere. But like a healthcare system, like agriculture, like insurance, for example. Like, how do you see the environment of the New York venture ecosystem? Do they still solely focus on to AI, or like do you still see some opportunity outside, like ordinary tech industry?
Sure. I mean, the focus is AI because everybody's flowing there. But like New York right now is the second largest startup center in the world. After Silicon Valley. So when I first moved to New York in 1998, again, I'm old, but like New York wasn't like that. New York was like number 5 or something. We are now number 2. And New York is much more diverse than like you said, Silicon Valley. So New York is the best place to enter the US market. And there is money for everything. Like there's still money for biotech, drug discovery. But even though like AI is getting into everything, like drug discovery is using quantum computing and AI. So my bet is like quantum chips, when they become functional with AI, like it's gonna be like what we use every day.
Yeah, I mean, New York, we used to call it a financial hub. It still is, but it's a tech hub. The city itself is putting a lot of money in building an AI hub. Your next door neighbor in New Jersey is trying to build a supercomputer at the moment. So it's really becoming a tech hub. And I think more and more people are realizing this. At the same time, if you're in, lived here, you do realize, it's everything is just around the corner. There are events to network, and for startups, it's important that you're always in front of people. New Yorkers are open and welcome. They do speak a lot, and they might be fast talkers, sometimes hard to approach because they try to sell everything to you. But that's New York. And that's a skill. And that's why people succeed, because in our terms, they hustle. I think it's very important, and I think once you learn that, take for example, expats, that come to Japanese expats that come and live here for 3 years, their mindsets change. It changes. So I think it's a great thing. It's a great thing. So New York has a lot to offer, and it's a tech hub. There's a lot of money. There's a lot of skills, talent, obviously great people.
So could you introduce some like notable events coming on to Zetro like this week, like focusing on around that area?
Yeah, we're grateful to always work with the Tokyo Metropolitan Government. Obviously, next week there's a big event at the Japan Society. I think Japan Society is also a cultural center. However, they're trying to lean into more being startup friendly and being more approachable for younger generations to come. We obviously partner with the ERA on many occasions, on many events, and we're always. Last year we had a very successful Climate Week event that we will continue on. Obviously, it's a great one. Tech Week in June, so we might want to do something there. But there's always events. There's always things happening. It's not just us. Obviously, here in Yokohama City, they do a lot of great events too.
Also, our anchor LP, SMBC, the bank, next Friday, they're organizing a roundtable at Suntory's office with like many Japanese corporations and US investors and other things. So like there are so many events happening in New York City. But like New York is the best place. Also, Silicon Valley is like a closed network. When you move to San Francisco, you cannot meet anyone. Like nobody wants to meet you. Like Elon Musk doesn't reply your emails. Like in New York, like people meet you. It's New York, right? It's very open. So it's a great place for Japanese founders.
So then, talk about the culture, the adjustment of we have next week Tokyo Metropolitan events. What do you expect? What kind of trends you are seeing from the entrepreneurs from Japan? This event, what kind of expectations do you have for that?
So we are going to have the founder of Oishi, but he's an amazing Japanese founder. He built a business here now. He's building a facility in Tokyo. So we are seeing a lot of deep tech founders coming here and becoming successful. But next week's event is about bringing US founders to Tokyo for Sushi Tech in April. We're going to promote come to Sushi Tech Tokyo in April.
So then back to your presentation, how to be a great entrepreneurship in the US. You have been investing for a long time in Japan. What kind of changes you have seen? More as a society, what has been successful change the mentality of these entrepreneurs, and what need to be changed further from here?
Thank you. That is the main question actually about Japan. And last time I was in Tokyo, Nakajima-san took me to talk to some very high-level government officials exactly about this. So English has always been a problem. That's the main problem. Every Japanese person should speak English. It's good for Japan, good for them. Obviously, we know that every Japanese person learns English, but they are shy to speak. So once you go beyond that, we are seeing that Japanese founders who went to school in the US, who speak very fluent English, they are more confident when they come to the US. So it's a really good thing. But also, I love Japan and I want to live in Japan eventually. But you have to, in New York, you have to listen to direct feedback, which is difficult. And people tell you I don't like your shirt. You have to be thank you, that's good feedback. Let me change my shirt. Those are adjustments. But when you go to Africa for a safari, you don't go pet the elephants or the lions, right? You just adjust. You just don't change yourself, but adjust the environment. I think we need to see more of that. The Oishi founder, I think, is really a great example of that. He built an amazing business. 5 years ago, when I first met him, he gave me strawberries, and I took it to my wife, and my wife is where did you find these? These are Japanese strawberries. So bring something unique to Japan, the US market, impress people, high quality, stay Japanese, but compete with the US founders.
How about for yourself? You have been working with digital for a long time, and then what kind of changes you have seen?
I think English is very important. Mentality has to be there. But I think it's more, a lot of policy needs to change too, but that's very hard and difficult. And it's great to see Japan moving quickly at this moment in terms of startup and tech ecosystem and all that, and the government pumping money, which is the right pathway, right? Historically, right? Startup ecosystem is built, it starts from government money, and then it sort of flows into young investors and successful companies. And so you see that pathway. However, there's misalignments. There's almost we're forgetting something very important and sort of skipping that and moving and it's going. So I think, for instance, we're seeing all these great startups, but then we're also seeing a lot of potential in the younger generation that are in university and school right now. You want to build an entrepreneurship program in university, but you don't have professors and teachers in AI or whatever expertise that they might have had is not there to teach these people. So you're missing these little crucial but important slots. You're missing sort of the middle. We have all these great CVCs and VCs that are big funds right now, but we don't have a lot of angel investors who's what creates these startups to build products fast. So I want people to sort of see this pathway, how historically, in the US, how this tech ecosystem itself was built, and sort of take that and build those spots that Japan is missing. I think that's going to be the next level. I think as Jetro, we have built these accelerator programs and we successfully, I think, did it. We now have Techstar and 500 Global, and we're working with ERA and all these famous angel investors. And they're all coming to Japan. Why? Because we kept building these programs and kept pushing these startups to come here or Europe or wherever it may be. So I think that's going to be, we can rely on now Yokohama to build a program or Hokkaido to build a program. We don't need to rely, they don't need to rely on us. So what do we as a government need to create next? What do we have to do so that the community in Japan will sort of follow through. And I think that's what we're doing great right now is, I'm constantly working with Murat-san and other investors to build that part, right, which is going to be very important. And then, like Murat, as a government, we can give you a Japanese, community a straightforward answer, but are you really going to listen? I don't know. But if an investor is telling you in the US saying, you're terrible at this, or this is a great idea, you should listen. And I think that's where we should build that mindset more.
That's the best feedback to a Japanese founder, telling them the pitch is bad, because it's very shocking, and it really works. I think we need more of that.
How does that work? Can you give us some investors who got a very, very bad score initially, but eventually came up strong?
So many.
The most memorable for me, I think, is a company called Biomi. Biomi the founder was very quiet and, typical Japanese and couldn't really pitch well. But then at the end of the program, it was like a completely different person. Spoke out loud, very enthusiastic. And it was very fortunate that he learned this because, he was able to obtain other investments, whether that was, I think it was a Microsoft startup or Amazon startup, but he got into those programs. And now he's at Bio International getting so many meetings all day long, and it's amazing.
But then, he listened to people and he said, this is not working. So he changed himself. We didn't force him, obviously. We just gave him feedback.
As a personalities themselves, how different. You brought up the very good point that the Japanese culture or culture entrepreneurs grow up are very different, and they need to adjust there. But at the same time, are there something they can prepare in Japan, knowing that they will come to the US, or they have to experience the hard time in the US once they come over? How do you think?
Practice English.
Of course,
And go to startup events in Tokyo in English. Still, we get very few people because the event is in English in Tokyo. We need a community in Tokyo also. We need people to know each other, meet all the time, constantly, have a place to find mentors, investors. Japan needs to form that community. When I first moved to New York, there was no community. Now we have the community. It's going to take a while. Nakajima-san said we need some successful entrepreneurs to build large companies, exit, become role models, angel invest, and it's going to take a while. So in 2007 in New York City, I was running my own startup. I couldn't meet people. So I said, I'll do my own event. So I started an event called Entrepreneurs Roundtable because we had a roundtable. We invited 20 people. And then we started doing those events every month. Now we just did our 209th event in New York City. It's been 17 years. We get 200-300 people every month, and I meet a lot of people. And those events help New York build the community because if you're early stage founder and you don't know where to go, you come to our events, you meet investors, lawyers, accountants. So we started doing those events in Tokyo last year. We've done 6 of these in Tokyo, but it's in English. So we need people to come to our events more.
Speaking English.
We're not getting much traction in Tokyo.
So then when you talked about the difference, strengths of the Japanese entrepreneur, what kind of specific industry or segment do you see opportunities in Japan?
Materials, fusion, deep tech. Japan is very good at taking something and perfecting it. So I think what's going to happen is carbon capture or fusion or something. One of these Japanese startups will become a global company because they're able to scale their manufacturing. It's going to be really about stuck on AI. They invented a new way to create LLMs specifically for a reason. So I would not expect Japanese startups to invent a new business model, but really invent some deep tech, patent it, and grow globally.
Deep tech, I think, if you want to be in the US, anything surrounding energy right now is crucial. Energy transmission, because we're using so much AI, which obviously equates to using a lot of energy, and you need the infrastructure. And of course, US can create businesses around that. But I think when it comes to precision and building quality products that requires things not to break, Japan has that, right? So whether that's quantum or whether that's fusion or whether it's anything surrounding thermal.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be opportunities once sort of this, like I said, this sort of AI craze dies down to where everyone should have AI, and then now we need to build something that has quality surrounding that. So, like I said, I think those are going to be key areas at the moment. Who knows? Murat's also has a climate fund, and obviously it's not the best time. But I think I'm optimistic to say, you should be talking to a lot of people now because
we are looking for a Japanese climate company to invest in. But we've been looking for now 10 months. Couldn't find one yet.
Oh, wow.
So please send us.
Sure. Yeah, that comes to the next question. So this is a 9JP event. So 9JP consists of the over 160 universities, academia, and all the 9 regions in Japan. So in that sense, deep tech, for example, or maybe biotech is perfect for academia because of the long duration to get the revenue. So in that sense, what kind of role do you expect for these academia and these regions to further accelerate the entrepreneurship or mindset or access or what do you want to them to do?
So from our point of view, we look at technical readiness level of companies. They have to be 8 or 9 for us to invest, which is commercialization is a major problem in Japan. There's a lot of IP. I think Japan has the most number of patents in the world, but commercializing them is really difficult. That's a major bottleneck. We need more business types to join these professors, scientists, build businesses out of these amazing inventions, which is going to unlock Japan's potential, I think. But it's a very difficult thing to do. But NEDO is really trying to do this, give money to companies.
AMED is doing the same in the healthcare system. What are we lacking? Is that just simply money or talent or
It's I think business strategy making is different in the US. And that's where it's lacking. There's the good and the bad, obviously, chicken and egg situation because you're building great products, but then you're not a great businessman just because you can build great products. In Japan, I think that's where you see, if you look at some of the most successful people in Japan, their business strategy mindsets are very different to your typical average Japanese person. That's why they're successful. Same goes with researchers. So for 9JP, for universities, you have all these researchers, great researchers, young potential researchers, but you don't have that opportunity in Japan because university doesn't have enough funding or it's not a research that's changing things right now. But then if you come to the US, you'd be surprised. For me, I work with many of the states. The states have colleges and universities here that would be happy to fund a grant or give you a grant to do your research here, right? And that's probably 2 or 3 times more than what you might get at the university. So I think I'm not saying forget your Kyoto University and come here to this university, but for 9JP, the opportunity is working with the local universities for not tech transfer. It's literally why don't we somehow find a way so that they can take advantage of these and really push that research, right? So that's how I would imagine.
So actually, to give you an example, we work with a company from Tsukuba, Sun City. I will not give the name of the company. I won't protect the innocent. But they invented a material and they came to New York City with the JETRO program. It was a fantastic program. And they were like, we have this material. I'm like, great. So who should use this? They're like, we don't know. And then we had them talk to 5 mentors. Then we found out the construction industry would love to use that material for a specific purpose. Now this company is selling. My point is go to market, positioning. They had the patent, they had the material. They didn't know what to do with it. The US mentors were like, hey, this will be good for this one. I think we need that approach in Japan. We need to bring those companies to US, run programs, find their go-to-market, and encourage them. But they still need business people to help them with sales.
That example is very interesting to me in the sense it's not about the CEO of the entrepreneurship himself, but it's your mentors who found the growth of the company. So
him.
Of course.
He explored, he did his customer discovery, found something amazing. and then it worked. I'm sure like a lot of technology in Japan sits at the university and nobody ever like tries to take it to the market.
So like if I'm like a researcher who has like a great ideas, or like I'm the early stage of the entrepreneur, when is a good time to come to the US?
You call Nakajima-san.
Sure.
So good question. I think like you can come early for customer discovery. But ideally like when you can sell the product to customers.
Sure. Of course, like everything is expensive, very expensive in New York. So, but you got to have the feeling of doing business in New York. We are talking about like providing the spaces, like an entrepreneur can spend a little bit longer than just a tour. I'll say like a 1 month or like 2 months, and to get the feeling to when is a good time to settle in the US. So,
you're right. But right now we are running a program called Global Acceleration Hub with JETRO. We engage with later stage Japanese startups. We give them desks at our office in New York City. They come spend time, they meet mentors. So like JETRO, Nakajima-san is doing a lot of things. So the founders have to go meet him when he comes to Tokyo in 2 weeks.
More work for me. No, I think yes, New York is expensive. I mean, San Francisco is just as expensive, except you have to travel around, right? So, I mean, to be honest, you can be in New Jersey. It's buses and trains that go to the city. You don't have to be 24/7 in the city. You can drop your cost a lot. You know, there's options. You don't have to be scared of everything. Yes, maybe food is expensive, but it's worth the ROI, I think, to at least come here. It's very Japan friendly. There's a lot of Japanese restaurants and food and stuff that you can do here. It's much better than any other state, I think.
But New York City is the largest city in the US, 8.5 million people. Not everybody is like a billionaire. We have like New Jersey, Queens, Brooklyn, everywhere. Many founders we invest in, they have no money. They live, they eat ramen.
Wow.
Like,
ramen is very expensive.
Bucks ramen.
Got it.
Not to $20 real ramen. The thing is like when I go to Tokyo, ramen is like fantastic and so cheap. In New York, it's like $20, $25. It's crazy.
No, that's true. Thank you so much. So like before closing this webinar, back to the big picture for this year, 2026, what will we be surprised in terms of the in the venture space?
So AI will become more practical, functional. We'll start using it in our daily lives. Many AI startups will fail. You know, it's typical technology adoption cycle, but there's like hype and there's thorough of disillusionment, and then there's like a practical layer when like large companies are being built. Right now, like we are going to see many people try AI and like, oh, this doesn't work. I think it's going to change eventually. For Japanese founders, it's a huge opportunity. Like they can build the next AI company that can become a unicorn. I'm very excited for Japanese founders to ambitiously come to US and like don't be shy, pitch to everybody and make Japan like a much better place for startups.
Just curiosity, like you also invest into the Korea and Taiwan. In some sense, like the cultures are very close to Japan. In a sense, I feel. Do you think like
Korean people are more excited? They have higher energy, but like Japanese people are more hardworking. But I cannot say these things publicly. So you know, Taiwan is different. So they're like very hardworking, but like. I think Japan built a huge economy. Japan proved itself, but very different cultures.
Like how about Nakajima-san? Like you go to other countries as well. Like in terms of the entrepreneurship, like do you think like some characteristic Japan itself can learn from like Israel, Netherlands, like?
I think I would like to see more Japanese startups shine in the US. I want to see a unicorn or a company, you know, getting to that $1 billion status in Japan, because that would then trigger a new wave of companies, opportunities, you know, trends and things like that. AI is still going to stick around. It's just going to improve, I think, more at a much faster pace. Longevity is another area that people are sort of, it's huge. It's blowing up at the moment. So I think bio has been quiet, but I think the more AI and computing power is being used, I think we figure out more vaccines and things that can, help cure cancer, for instance. So I think progression is important, but at the same time, we're seeing a lot of interesting things happening this year in America, right? You have, for instance, the World Cup is here in the US, which is a big thing. It's going to trigger a lot of new technology and bring a lot of people here in New York. It's exciting times. There's a lot of events happening here.
What will we be surprised to see in the AI at the end of 2026? Like, we will be replaced by AI or what? Oh, yes, there you go. There you go.
I don't know. I think, right now they're just sitting around and walking around taking orders, but I think you'll see a massive improvement in robots. Maybe probably something big.
Like, Japanese food in New York might be better thanks to robots. All right. All right. We need an entrepreneur for that, for sure. All right. Yeah. Thank you so much. So then, like, final comments from each of you, like to the guests.
So please don't be humble. Be ambitious. Don't be shy, and talk to people. Listen to their feedback, and practice English.
Yep.
Yeah, I think don't be afraid to mess up. Don't be afraid to get bad comments. I think you're gonna need it. The more you get earlier, I think you will learn to accept it and move on. And I think sometimes that works. So have that sort of mindset. Continue to work with the government. The government continues to strive hard in making sure that things can happen in Japan, but also we want to welcome you to New York for me. So I'm always here, and I'm happy to try and engage as much as possible. And I tend to go to Japan with Murat a lot too, so I'm hoping to see many of you there.
It's our English event.
Yes,
Come to
English event.
Thank you so much. So like today's takeaway, if you have a good idea of what happens and client base maybe, then just give a call to Daiki or Murat. So that's the takeaway. Thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you.
For the participants. Thank you for joining. See you soon.
My fuel every single day. Hands up, don't fight the groove. Step in, just make your move. We ride with every beat. We shine on every street. New York, New York, I'm feeling that spark. Dream so loud, it's light in the dark. New York, New York, we aim for the top. Keep on moving, cause we never stop. Hear the subway singers echo underground. Strangers share the same sky above this town. Possibilities hide in alleys unseen. Just reach out your hand, grab what you dream. I say